Oh, good morning. Well, I say good morning, Builder Blog, but because I'm recording this at like 9:30 on Saturday morning, and I know it comes out at noon on Monday because that's when I have them scheduled to come out. But whatever. It's almost Norwalk time. It's almost Norwalk time. Okay, a couple things. We're going to talk about Offbeat. We're going to talk about where it stands. I do want to address, I have my microphone now like sitting right here. I noticed when I was right here, you could hear every time I went, every time I breathe, I'm like, that's, I normally don't edit my videos. I literally just, I throw it into DaVinci Resolve, splice things together, render it, and call it a day. And that last video, I had to watch for specific audio cue, and I could hear myself talking, and I'm like, I hate it. So, some of the things that we've changed up here on Offbeat. If you notice, in the last video, I had a screw in every single one of these holes. I've done a little bit of math. I've been playing around because technically we're about 12 grams overweight right now. 12 grams overweight. I took these screws out, and that shaved off 20 grams. We're currently sitting at 12 grams overweight. So, that tells you how many grams, I took 20 off. We were at like, what was it? Yes, 1,381 grams. We're now down to 1,376, 72, 71, something like that. Anyways, it's a decent amount of weight that I've taken off with just the screws here. I am worried that it's going to cause these to be a little more likely to pend out, but that's what it is. I do have the titanium cleats on the inside, and I have the spring steel cleats on the outside. I can shave off a little bit more weight if I only do spring steel, but I kind of want to keep with the titanium because we were doing some drive tests last night and weapon tests last night, which maybe I'll edit those videos in. Maybe I won't.
And I thought I put it in there and painted it in there, but I found the sim cardboard and used that instead. And I lost my screwdriver.
Oh God!
And there it is, I found it. Other pocket.
Ah, yes, my fifth pocket.
Your fifth pocket?
Alright, robot is on. Weapon is on. That board up.
I mean, that's honestly a pretty good safety.
Yeah, well, I have a C-clamp I'm putting on there. But I'm also thinking about just drilling a hole through the frame and just dropping a single bolt through there. Alright, the box is locked. We are safe. So all the Scar people watching this are like, hey, you're doing it good.
That dig's so good.
Oh, and there goes the belt.
It's split.
I can smell burning rubber.
If you just saw those videos, hey, I did edit them in. If you didn't, then they weren't good enough quality to put in. I don't know. But just during driving, I noticed some of the cleats are actually bent inward a little bit, specifically ones on the back wheels from the turning. So yeah, that shaves off some weight. I have some bolts on the inside. I'm gonna, especially the ones on here, I think I can shave a few grams off if I shorten these bolts up a little bit. The big problem that we did, and this added a bunch of weight, we're running so much power through this robot to run the weapon. Oh, I also, Offbeat has a face now. We're running so much power through that, it was getting hot. We were melting these XT30 connectors on our 4S lipos. And we're melting them. They were welding each other together, so we're going to switch to XT60, which is a bit heavier duty, which is going to, we've already tested, it didn't hurt these ones at all, so we're probably going to stick with the XT60. That's the big thing, is we're switching to the XT60. We're also been having some weapon, we're having two levels of weapon reliability issues. The first is we keep breaking belts. And a part of that is I don't have a new pulley yet. I have some, Robert is, as I'm recording this, should be printing up some more of these pulleys. But if you notice, this one's pretty badly damaged right here. And this was actually from our fight against Wumbo. And just every time we've tested, this part peels out a little more. And it's acting like a razor blade and just chewing up the belts, which just leads to them breaking quicker. But another issue we're having is we switched to this motor. This is our weapon motor. And I cut the shaft down to make it fit, because if you don't do it, the shaft sits down like this, and it's a really nice weapon safety. Because we actually mount up here to the top. This is a 3530 at 1700 kV. Really fast motor. I personally am not happy with it. And right now we're kind of having a back and forth conversation about switching motors. Robert is thinking that this motor will be fine. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not happy with the motor. He thinks maybe we could do some gear ratios with the pulleys, which we could do. Put a smaller pulley on here and leave the current size weapon pulley, which would also reduce the tension on the belt. We definitely did notice that when this is on here, this is flexing over, especially after it's running. It gets hot. The filament on the bottom becomes soft. I have these screws as tight as they can go. I put them any tighter, they're going to pull through there. And you can see this one is, I can at least feel, this one is sunk in way more because it's been pulled through as it got hot. One solution that we had was putting a little plate right here to help make that more rigid. But that's weight, and we're already pushing our weight. I have made the suggestion very strongly, I don't have it sitting here, is going back to our Sin City Street Fight setup, but with this design, where it's just the one top plate. The Sin City Street Fights, we had a bottom plate as well, and we got rid of that bottom plate. I'm very much in the position, the mindset that we know the Street Fight setup worked. We know this setup with the new frame design and the plows and these wheels works. The issue now is the weapon motor. I believe is weapon motor. This is the weapon motor that we use for Sin City Street Fights. This is a 4225 at 610 kV, so it's slower, but it's also significantly, where's that motor? Significantly thinner, right? If we actually think, okay, so here, dropping parts. You can see just the size difference. This motor's a little shorter, but it's also fatter. It's also heavier by a lot. One of the advantages of this is we were able to have a really, really thick print right underneath, right here where this motor mounted, which meant that there was very little flex side to side. Even this one, like it's not as bad as it was with the squishy material, which I don't even like. This one is pretty flexible. This is I don't even know what this is, but right here with a motor mount, that's it's only about that thick, whereas on the Street Fights one, it was like that thick, and it was printed out of this nylon, so it was very rigid, very strong. This one is the same nylon, it's still very strong, but it still has a little flex. And I think once it gets hot, it flexes even more. So I think if we went back to this motor, it would reduce the flex. The other issue we're having, this motor has a really high top speed, but low torque. And so our spin up, even if gearing would probably help, but I don't think gearing would be significant enough to help to get us back to the spin up that we had at Street Fights, where I hit the opponent, my weapon slows down, and then it's right back up. During some of the testing, and you probably saw it in the video that I edited in here, we hit something and the weapon stops, and then back up to speed. Whereas if you watch our fight against Sandstorm, when the weapon, and I'll have a link to that video below, our weapon is spinning, it hits, ping, Sandstorm goes flying, and then the weapon goes, oh, I got to spin again, and it's right back up to speed. I'm really pushing that that we go with this motor. Unfortunately, like we're in the middle. Like I'm getting text messages. Well, I'm not getting text messages right now, but I got text messages this morning about that. So I have said my case to Robert. Robert is like 2 weeks after I come back from Norwalk. We'll have our Norwalk recap video will come out. I'm gonna try and maybe talk to Pong and see if I can't get on his live stream either this Monday or the Monday after Norwalk to kind of like go over, post interview whatever thing. Which the Sin Shop, check them out, they're awesome. Speaking of Norwalk, so on Wednesday they did the reveal of the brackets, and the way Norwalk is doing it, it's a little different. Instead of doing a double elimination bracket, which they've done in the past, they're doing a single elimination bracket, but you have preliminary fights you have to go through. And it sounds like you're going to have just one preliminary fight, and that's going to determine where you fall in the bracket. But they still had to seed those preliminary fights. And every robot that signed up was ranked based on several different things. Offbeat is a rank 2 robot out of 4 rankings. A rank 1 robot is a robot that the builder and the robot have competed at Norwalk in the past. Which, this is a new robot event, so there should be no rank 1 robots, which there are none. A rank 2 robot is a robot and builder that have competed in the past, but have never competed at Norwalk. Offbeat has competed in the past. We competed at Street Fights, we competed at Titanic Takedown, we competed at Arizona Combat Robotics July Rumble. It wasn't a Rumble fight, but it was like, you know what I mean, double elimination tournament. And I've competed at a couple of other events. Robert and Price, who are both on my team, have competed at BattleBots and have competed for years doing this. So they know what they're doing, and I'm like, cool. I have surrounded myself with some cool people who know what they're doing. I just have to turn a wrench and drive a robot and twiddle some sticks. Rank 3 robots are robots that competitors have competed before at Norwalk, but it's a brand new robot. It's never fought before. Or competitors have competed in the past, not just at Norwalk, but competitors have competed in the past but have a brand new, never fought robot. And rank 4 is brand new robots and brand new builders. This is our first competition ever. Being that Offbeat has competed at other events, I've competed at other events, we are rank 2. We got the number 8 seed. Yay, number 8 seed. We are competing. Our preliminary fight. If we win our preliminary fight, we get a bye into round 2 of the bracket. So we actually have to. We skip one of the elimination fights. It's great. It's awesome. One step closer to a golden dumpster. I hope. We have to fight the 47th seed, and I've seen one of his. It's a brand new robot that's never competed before, but it is a builder who has competed in the past, which makes him a rank 3 robot. And I think it's going to be a good fight. I've seen his robot. Looks like a lifter, which is going to be fun because my first fight ever with Offbeat was against a lifter, and it ripped my weapon off. Actually, I ripped my own weapon off, but he was able to really control that fight. I'm really hoping that we've dialed this robot in from previous versions that now I can rip his lifter off. We'll see. It'll hopefully be a really, really good fight. So we have to fight that. But if we win that fight, then it's only 6 fights we have to win the whole competition, which is a lot. So, yeah, that's where we stand with that, competition-wise. Another thing that we've done, and I'm going to move Offbeat out of the way. So I have a mix of TPU wheels that I printed myself, and I have these really nice Onyx wheels printed by Bunny from Team Mouse. She has 3D printing services. She is sponsoring our team. Go check her out. That's why we have the big old Malice sticker on the top of our robot. I had to put it on an angle. It's the only way it would fit. And I know Bunny watched my video, and she's like, "Oh, I can send you some chrome stickers." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know you had chrome stickers." But I'm like, but Bunny, I figured it out. I got it to work. It looks pretty good, except for I put it just a little too close to one of our bearings, and it may have ate part of the sticker. But as long as I keep the dust off of it, it does look pretty good. One of the things we have is our weapon belt. As it's disintegrating, it spews a lot of dust everywhere. and the whole top of the robot gets covered in this black rubber dust. And it's only when it's disintegrating, when it's working properly. If we got this pulley here repaired or replaced, I don't think we'd be chewing up our belts as badly as we are. Anyways, these Onyx wheels, they're really light. They're actually, I think they're like 6 grams, 4 or 5 grams lighter than the TPU. It's nice that the TPU is flexible. This Onyx is solid. What I have for the TPU wheels, we put these bearings in these holes. You can see the bearing right there. For the TPU wheels, I use these bearings that have a little flange, right? So that the TPU bearing goes in there and it slides and it can't be pushed any further through that wheel. The Onyx wheels, I'm not using the flanged bearing. I have these nice non-flanged ones. Because all I have to do is put that in there, and then that bearing is now in there, and it's not going to come out. It's not sliding around. It's great. And I have all of these ones here. They all have bearings. There's 2 bearings per wheel, and they are pressed in. Those are ready to go. I have all my weapon spinners painted because I don't have a big enough following on YouTube who watches my videos and comments on my stuff to be like, oh, paint it pink or whatever. So I have this gray one, which is our current test one. It's been used the most. It's going to just be keep being used as the most one, as the most used one, and then probably will be the one that we fight with the most. I have one that's also painted exactly like this, but it's black with the orange here. I have one that's painted all red. It's painted just this color. Robot's falling off the table. It's painted just this color red. And then I have one more that I'm going to keep under wraps. I'm not going to... My team knows what that one looks like. But I'm going to keep that one under wraps, and you'll see that one. If we get far enough into the tournament, you might see that one. That might be a... Oh, we made it to the finals? I guess it's time to use that one. And it's the same exact spinner. It's not like I have some secret shape design. It's just, it's got an interesting paint job. So, and that one might be I'm going to keep that one under wraps until I'm in the finals of a tournament. If I don't make it to the finals at Norwalk this weekend, next weekend, this weekend, then it's just going to stay hidden away for a while. But yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to wrap this up. Don't forget to check out the Norwalk live stream. Come cheer not just my robot on, but every other robot that's going to be there. It's going to be a great time. I will have a link in the description of the Norwalk stream. I'm going to go back to talking to Robert, who, again, this is something, I'm going on a little tangent here. This is something that Nick, who, his son runs Double or Nothing, who's the #1 seed in Beatles. This is something that Nick said. Robert really likes to design robots. And he'll design a robot, it won't work, he'll move on to design the next one. Offbeat is the one robot that Robert has designed and put a lot of time and effort into designing. And part of that is because I'm pushing him to focus on it. I keep sitting there saying, well, I like the design we have now. What's wrong with the design we have now? The drive is really nice. I really like the drive. We got to dial in the armor. All right, we've dialed in the armor. We think the robot can survive getting hits. We now got to dial in the weapon. And I think the weapon is the last thing we got to dial in. And like I said, we had it really well dialed in for street fights. We had a really well dialed in robot for street fights, and I'm gonna go right now and tell Robert. Robert's probably watching this and already yeah, you already told me. Why are you telling me you're gonna tell me now? Well, because I'm thinking in the present and knowing this video is gonna come out hours later, days later. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. If you want to support support us building these robots, I got a link to the PayPal below. If you need 3D printing and you don't have a 3D printer at home, check out Malice, teammalice.com. Link in the description below. She does 3D printing, especially if you're doing combat robots and you want to get started into it. And you're like, well, I have a CAD design, but I don't have a 3D printer, or I can't print exotic 3D materials like Onyx. Teammalice.com. Link in the description. I don't know. I didn't order the stuff. Robert did, so I don't know exactly what her ordering process is. But if you decide you want to order something like wheels or a frame or something from her, just tell her, Kaz, or tell her Kaz or tell her Offbeat. Tell her Offbeat sent you. Just write in the comments, Offbeat sent me. You know, that means, you know, it's not like she's gonna throw more money at us. It's just like she gave us some 3D printed parts, and they are. Oh man, I'm so happy with these. No little side tangent. I cried a little bit. So I had to cut these bolts down, right? And as I'm cutting the bolt down, my Dremel slipped. Can I turn the wheel enough that you can see it? It's really hard to turn these wheels with these cleats because I don't want to like slice my hand open, which I did in fact do. So as I was cutting this, my Dremel slipped and I cut that part of that wheel. I was like, no! So, yeah, this is getting long. I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.